Hey, hi. We're currently streaming. I'm using the restreaming platform. One thing that I'm not sure about, it doesn't appear to give me an option to add um, your video. So yeah. So, anyways, still working on trying to have it so it's showing side by side. Anyways, it's streaming right now. I think I have Restream set up to stream to Twitch. It used to be Facebook and to a Google account that I have on YouTube, which is associated with an email address augmentu@gmail.com. All right, so let's kick off our discussion here and see where you are at and how you're progressing with your idea and your project. Mm-hmm. 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 Great. Well, that's a great start. That's fantastic. So, I guess diving into the descriptions that you've created for these different user types, one way I like to build those out is using the notion of a journey, meaning sort of what does that look like before you knew about whatever it was, to a experience where you couldn't live without this particular product or service in your life. So that first phase is, how do you learn about this platform or this particular product that you're offering? So what's that discovery look like? I mean, are we getting it from other people who are already on the platform? Are we advertising? How are we building the awareness of those individuals in each of those types? So that's like stage one, and then the idea is well, how do you onboard people to your rocket ship? So let's just paint this as the services to take you to Mars, right? To have a great vacation and whatever. So the idea is that you found out about this rocket ship that's going to Mars, and now the question is, well, how do you get on board the rocket? How do you get it, on the list of individuals who will be part of that first trip that they're taking? So that's kind of and we can go through different sort of aspects of that journey, but really sort of outline exactly how one goes from discovery to onboarding. Now they're in the rocket ship, and then I would say that the, landing on Mars and having their first meal, or, whatever, first breath of outside air, is that sort of realization of the value that they had hoped that they were going to achieve. So it's just the first one. It's not the sort of overall sort of change that it's going to take place in their life, but it's that first moment where I had an idea or a conception of what this could do to, wow, I'm on Mars and I'm realizing I'm on Mars. So, yeah. Hmm. Okay, so I want to pause you right there because you said something really interesting, and I think it's important for us to call it out. There's a difference between marketing and onboarding. And what I mean by that is that in the onboarding process, as you define it, it has really nothing to do with marketing, although marketing will use that information. The onboarding process is more a moment that your organization or your company takes to establish what it is that you are going to define this relationship on. So what I mean by that is that can be used for marketing, but it oftentimes can be dangerous because if you make it around, I want to know more about you, or I want to know what color hair you have, or I want to know, what race you are, or gender, or whatever, that can get kind of awkward, right? And the idea of onboarding is there's a whole nother aspect to it that I want you to sort of think about is that onboarding is like relationships, okay? And what a relationship starts off with is usually, hey, what's your name? And it doesn't even go beyond that, really. It is, yeah, absolutely, right? And yeah, exactly. So the question becomes, do we get email? Do we get a text or a phone number? What identifier, Instagram handle, or whatever identifier we're going to get? But I want to make it clear that it doesn't stop there. And what I mean by that is that your account, your relationship is actually the entire value of this particular service and product. And I know that sounds kind of funny, like, well, what are you talking about? I sell shoes. What does it have to do? The ability for you to understand your customer or your partner or whoever it is allows you to be efficient and precise with the way in which you align yourself with that customer for whatever it is that you're going to be interacting with them. So the account process, the relationship attributes are something to think about almost constantly, right? It almost as if each time you have to take this idea that you are growing with the user or the customer together, and you're learning about each other through that. And the account is keeping track of that interactions. It's keeping track when you came to my house or my site or my app, what you looked at, what you liked, what you didn't like. Like, I mean, I've always been sort of blown away that for the most part, we just sort of say what's up and we never really talk about what's down. Like we don't thumbs down anything, and the value that one can obtain just through that simple sort of distinguishing can be very helpful in your building of this account. Okay, so I want you to sort of think about that the most important individual on a movie or on any television show is not the director, is not the actors. It is the writer. The writer is the one who has the idea about who talks to whom, what's the scene look like, all of the sort of environmentals, relationships of actors or characters to other characters. The J.K. Rowlings, right? J.K. Rowlings doesn't know how to make movies. She doesn't know how to shoot a camera, a video camera, but it's her writing and the ability to understand the relationships, the character profiles, the dimensions, the heritage, the lineage, all of that of Harry and all the characters that are in her novels. That's the most important element of that. And so what I'm saying is that if you write out in a sort of a story like format, somebody who has the ability to take code or design can take those stories and create manifestations of what that would look like in, say, a coding language that runs inside of a web page. But they're just going to be sort of hoisting up the beams. They won't know, well, where do I put this beam or where do I put that beam, and does this have a wood roof or does it have a metal roof? All of that, it comes from the architect who is sort of envisioning what this thing will look like, and that comes from the story of how this experience is going to be impactful to an audience. That's yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. That's a fantastic question. I think the idea is that like we were saying, a person was living without this, right? I mean, they didn't know it existed. They were living without it, okay? And now that they discovered it, this is how their life has transformed. This is how their life has changed, right? And the question is that what does that look like now? Does that look like, let's just use Amazon as an example of a service. Bezos thinking about, well, I can order books online and have them delivered to my house. Okay, well, I go to bookstores, I go to Barnes and Noble, and I look around for books and I sit in the shelves. Why would I want to buy books online and have them delivered to me? Okay, so what I'm saying is that before I used to go to Barnes and Noble, I used to look around and I even went to libraries, right? Now I have a service where I can search books, I can see reviews on books, I can sample the books, I can interact with the publisher or the author. There's a whole sort of change in the way in which I'm interacting with books now because of Amazon. So there was a past state. So they talk about this was the state of my life. This was the past sort of way in which we did things. Now here is the way in which we will do things with Blurt, right? So this is going to be how Blurt sort of impacts the way in which you live your life and interact and have an expression, right? Because from what I'm getting from you is that you have friction. So that's the other thing. You have friction that exists. So you have Instagram, you have Snap, you have all this, but there's something missing. There's something sort of, I can't do something on Instagram. I can't do something on Snapchat. There's something I just, So Blurt takes that sort of situation and says, I have something to help you with that, okay? Right. Okay. So you're talking about a literal investment. Okay, so again, I think that this is where if the business is built, so you have your, like you were talking about, your presentation, your user journeys, your business model, right? Well, where the revenue's coming in, what the subscription fees are, what's the financials, right, of how this thing is, what's the hosting cost or the technical cost for running the platform. And you can kind of make some of this stuff up, right? Ballpark it, $1 million to run the platform, and then $10 a month for subscription fee. How many users, how long are they subscribing for, and do the sort of math. And so that builds your financial model. And then so the idea is then you have a pitch, right? And you essentially have, let's just say, 10 to 15 minutes, right? Where you tell the story in that 15 minutes, you tell the financials in that 15 minutes, and then you ask, is there an appetite for you having a ownership in this particular venture? And so the question is, then you look at shares of the company. So let's just say there are 1,000 shares of this company, and you want 50% of the company. So you're going to have 500 shares, and then you're going to say 50% of it is going to be for equity investors, for seed capital. So you're going to be giving away 50% of your shares to the individuals who you now are pitching this to. You're proposing that they take a 50% stake or a 10%, because if you're doing multiple investors. And so you say the valuation of each share is at $10 a share or $100 a share or $1,000,000 a share, right? So you're saying I've got a 50% stake that's available for investors, and each share is currently valued at $100. And what percentage of ownership would you like in this company? Because I'm looking for seed capital to get this, operationalized, and start providing, whatever it is to the world. So that's an example of where you're giving away, it as giving away shares of ownership as a way of funding your venture. And I yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I think there was one thing in there that you kind of got a little bit confused about. The model is the business itself, meaning that I have revenue streams and I have expenses for running the software, the labor, the programming, the bookkeeping, accounting, all those are costs. And then the revenue is the subscription fees, the fees for advertisers to run ads, right? So there's a cost for them to run their ads on your platform if ad monetization is a part of your model. So the stories and the functionality, or the way in which it works, is not really a part of the model usually. The business model is more like revenue in and expenses and the operational financial aspects of the platform, not the that sometimes investors don't even care what the hell the thing does. Seriously, they could care less. They just want to make money, right? So if you're telling me that if I give you $100,000, the company is going to make as a profit $500,000 in the first year. Well, the profits are going to be distributed across the company, and there'll be voting that will take place on where that profit should be allocated. So sometimes profits will go back into the company. So the shareholders of the company will vote on whether or not to reinvest the profits, or they'll vote to say, well, we're going to give the board members a certain percentage of these profits, and then we'll reinvest a percentage of them. So that's part of the model. There are people who can sit on the board and who are investors, which don't care if you're doing porn or selling crack cocaine or selling Fruit Loops or clothing or whatever. They just see, look, I'm giving you some money and you're committing to giving me a return on that money. and I really don't care what you do. And so that's where, if they trust you and you can explain to them how the model is working. I guess that to some, there are investors who will want to know some of the details and know that it's not illegal. Or let's just be kind of clear about that the activity isn't legal. But what my point is that they won't be so like deeply involved in, like there were a lot of investors that didn't care about what Facebook did, right? They gave money to Facebook. It was like, okay, a social network, whoa, and it's going to make all this money and it's going to be advertising. Sign me up, I don't care. And they didn't know that it was going to be stealing users' data and using the information about users to target them for ads and manipulate their sort of activities on or directions or journeys on the internet. They didn't know that stuff because they didn't really care. They just wanted to make some money. Good, good. Can I make a suggestion? Because I feel there's a part of this process that I'm, really passionate about, and it has to do with the version aspect of things. So your current slides right now, and I don't know, how many times you kind of have gone through them, but let's just say it's version 1.0, right? So anytime that you're changing, you're adding, you're sort of doing something to it, I ask you to make a copy and name this new copy version 1.1. Okay? And I'll just tell you why I'm saying that. One, because it shows the fact that you're what's called iterating on the presentation but what it can also do, and this is a really important aspect, is it can inform you about how frequently you are making changes to your product or service, okay? And what I can tell you that I've experienced is that the number of times that people see you making an effort to release new versions, people love new versions. They love them. It's like, when's the new iPhone coming out? Oh, is it coming out tomorrow? And so you have to leverage the idea that you are always creating new versions because the newness is a part of the value proposition, right? It's showing that you're doing work for the customer. And how are you showing that? You're showing that by saying, here's the new version. Okay, so I wanted to say that because I'm surprised how many times I see, especially like in the App Store updates, they go, bug fixes and improvements. Like, what the hell are you doing there? It's like, take this time to tell your customers what the hell you've been working on, because then they understand they are with a product that is giving them the value and not just fixing bugs. Like, who wants a product that all they do is just fix bugs? All right, so as we wrap things up here, I'd like you, as a young investor slash entrepreneur, to tell our audience, can you give them, young people, can you give them some kind of tips about how to get started and to really sort of build out your ideas and just some words of wisdom that you've learned so far? Mm. That's fantastic. Wow. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing that. It's really been an honor to speak with you today on the building the $1 trillion company. Yeah, hopefully we can have you back on sometime in the near future, and wish you all the best of luck in this exciting new service. And maybe the next time we talk, you can sort of walk our audience through what it is that you're building, and how can some of our audience interact with you if they wanted to reach out and talk? Great. Okay. Well, Rachel, it's been great talking to you on the $1 trillion podcast, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
It was nice working with you on that trillion dollars.
The $1 trillion podcast, right? I mean, I haven't seen that out there.
Nope, but it will be once I get $1 trillion.
There you go, $1 trillion
So then you can
podcast.
release
Start
all
it.
these,
Yeah.
and then it'd be funny.
Wait. What did she just say? Hello? We were doing the $1 trillion podcast.
No.
We were recording our conversation, and I was pretending it was the $1 trillion podcast. Is that okay?
Can we like go to Ralph's or something?
What's that?
Yes. Yes, we were. I just got a $500,000 for Blur. Can we go
Okay,
to Ralph's
yes.
or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Can you give me like 10 minutes there? Thank you.